Initial concept. Before we can write our initial concept, we need to capture the ideas that made us want to write the novel in the first place. What was the original spark that got us excited about this story? Once we've got the first version of our initial concept, we can start looking at it more closely. We can evaluate it, see what might be missing, and identify any cliches or overused tropes we should try to avoid. Using all that information, we can then refine and improve our initial concept, coming up with a better, stronger version that we can start building the actual story around. It's all about capturing that original inspiration and then building on it to create something great. We can capture the ideas by jotting them down. Capturing the initial sparks. At this stage we do not need to be perfect. And we do not need to make up new things. Just jot down what the ideas that inspired us to start the novel. Let me remind you of what made me write the current novel. It was a contemporary romance, about Anne, who had this flaw of false hope. She went from one relationship to another without being able to hold on to any of them. The nearest one was with Luke, who she thought was the right guy, but it turned out he wasn't what she expected. So here is a list of the original ideas. Genre: contemporary romance. Theme: false hope. Protagonist: Anne, age 30, an ordinary woman. Setting: Hollywood. At the beginning of the story, Anne has just broken up with Luke. She thought he was the right guy, but it turned out he wasn't what she expected. Anne, going from date to date that end up badly. A therapist helped Anne on her self-discovery journey. Anne grows by gradually questioning her false hope. Anne finally realized she was setting herself up for disappointment by having unrealistic expectations. Eventually she met a guy. Their relationship developed in a relaxed and natural way. When boring moments crept in, she didn't freak out. She was like, hey, this is just part of the normal ups and downs of life. So she found a happy ending. Okay, so now I want to turn this list of ideas from a real story into a list that I want to use for my novel. Of course I will need to make some changes. So here is my list. My title will be Sweet Temptations. Instead of Anne, I will call my protagonist Lucy. Instead of Hollywood, I want a small town setting. I do want a happy ending. So I need a guy who Lucy will end up with. I came upon this idea of her childhood friend Mark, who runs a patisserie with Lucy. He is secretly in love with her, but she has placed him in the friend zone. In the next point I changed the name Luke to Paul. In the next point I've added two names for Lucy's bad dates. First banker John. Then Dr. Ethan. Lucy's best friend Maggie plays the role of the therapist helping Lucy on her self-discovery journey. The next point is the same as for Anne. I have added a climax. In my novel the climax comes when Lucy is about to lose Mark forever, and she has her mirror moment, seeing the truth. What she ever wanted was there all along, but her false hope prevented her from seeing it. So as you can see, I have just introduced a small changes. You wonder where I got the idea of Banker John and Dr. Ethan? As you remember, I did have this blurb from a cliché novel in my writer's notebook. That's where those two guys came from. A banker and a doctor. Okay, now that I have my list of ideas, I can go to the next step. The initial concept. 1. Here I ask AI to generate an initial concept using my list of ideas. 2. I will also evaluate what I get. 3. And I will look for the gaps that need to be filled in. 4. I will also look out for any cliché warnings. I will then update my initial concept manually. So that is the plan. Okay, let's now go to Novel Crafter for a hands-on session. We are inside a browser in our Novel Crafter account. Let's choose an AI model. This time we'll use Claude 3.5 Sonnet, because this is critical work. Let's go to Codex first. Create a new entry. Choose Other. And let's paste in our initial list of ideas. Name it Initial List of Ideas. Click Outside. And there we have our initial ideas. Let's now enter the following prompt. Write an initial concept using the initial list of ideas. Be sure to mention all characters, places, locations and scenes that you can identify. Answer as a list of points. Send it away. Let's copy this. Let's go to Codex, and make new entry. Other. Let's paste it in. Name it Initial Concept. Click Outside. And there we have our initial concept. Go to chat and enter the following prompt. Evaluate the initial concept. Send it away. And here we have evaluation. Click on Save as Snippet. And call it Evaluation. Click Outside. And there we have our evaluation. Now let's enter the following prompt. Find the gaps that need to be filled in the initial concept. Send it away. And there we have our gaps. Click on Save as Snippet. And call it Gaps. Click Outside. And there we have our gaps. Let's enter the following prompt. Are there any cliché warnings in the initial concept? Send it away. And there we have our cliché warnings. Click on Save as Snippet. And call it Cliché Warning. Click Outside. And there we have our cliché warning. There we have our 3 snippets. And we also have our initial concept. That is rich material we can work with. Now what we want to do is to update this initial concept. So let's click on it. And here we have it, but I will not start writing directly here. Instead I will copy it. Click Outside. Then I will go to a new empty text document where I will paste it. And work on it here. Now to work on it, I really need those snippets and I will go through them one by one. So go to Snippets. The first one is the evaluation. I will read this through, see if there are any ideas there that I can apply to this initial concept. And then take gaps. Read through it and see what things I need to apply to improve. And then take cliché warning. Read through it and see what things I can apply to improve my initial concept. And after having done that, I tweak my initial concept. And here I have a better version. So I don't longer need these snippets, so I will remove them. So I have no more snippets. I will go back to my codecs. Here is my initial concept. I will take my new copy and paste it in. Click outside. Now I can evaluate it again. Go to chat and write. Evaluate the initial concept. Send it away. Let us read the overall assessment. It seems to be solid. Okay, so I am quite pleased with this one. So let me now clean up. I don't need this initial ideas, so I can remove it. And the only thing I am left with is a solid initial concept, which I will use to continue writing in my novel. Okay, let's go back. In summary, to write the initial concept, we need a list of ideas. We also need to check the quality, the gaps and the cliché warnings, and rewrite the initial concept manually. That's it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching.